For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Calling continues. Also, an influencer on Facebook says he will be contesting the island's next general election as an independent candidate. What is this obsession with the construction of hotels and a whole lot more, including yet another shooting? Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of NewsSpin. It's a wet and miserable Tuesday. My name is Timothy Poleon. We go up until 2 o'clock this afternoon. You're listening to the broadcast on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page. It was earlier on we were experiencing balmy weather conditions. That is clearly not the case as I broadcast today from VG. Very cloudy. Don't know about your part of St. Lucia or your part of the world, but it is certainly overcast in that part of the nation's capital. No doubt I'll be hearing from you in just a moment with your calls at 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, and Kimani will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. In the chat room talking about that, somebody's already saying Timothy fair fit just a few minutes before we got on the air. So, there has over the last few years been an obsession with hotels. When I say a few years, more than a few years, a few decades, dating back to John Compton when he was Prime Minister of St. Lucia. It was a big deal every time a hotel was constructed on the island, because there's a certain dependence on that kind of sector, that kind of development, in terms of creating jobs. And somehow what we have done in this country is, if we have a particular area of endeavor that we can depend on to provide dozens or hundreds of jobs to our people, we believe that it will be in existence, it will be profitable for an eternity. 9/11 taught us something totally different. We were at one time wholly and solely dependent on the banana industry for our survival. Challenges brought before the World Trade Organization, the end of preferential treatment, certainly would have put us in a precarious condition or situation whereby we could no longer get preferential treatment. We had to compete with a number of players on the world market. They could have produced their bananas at a cheaper cost, and we just could not stand up to that level of competition. And so the banana industry floundered. The banana industry ended up being not that useful to us anymore. So we are back at, yes, tourism as a sector. People don't like to hear me say this, but it's fickle. But no sooner there is a catastrophe, a calamity, or some event that would cause the tourism industry to be put on hold, it demonstrates that kind of resilience, to the extent that one particular individual said that he never knew that tourism was such an important sector or industry to St. Lucia. But we must guard against this obsession with the construction of hotels. 238 square miles does not give us that latitude for us to say we want to construct a hotel in St. Lucia every year or every other year. That is not practical. And when we do not construct a hotel on the island, it does not mean that we will not be able to survive. All it says about our leaders is that they are not innovative, they're not creative, they don't think outside of the box. So if it is tourism and construction of hotels, that's it. If it is the CIP because they realize that St. Kitts and Nevis recording some financial gains, copycats as they are, they enter that sector, bringing undue attention to the industry, raising the hackles of the European Union, the United States, and other countries who, under the guise of wanting to protect their borders, would definitely put stringent measures in place that would render the CIP as something that, we just have to cast away. We have to, out of frustration, we have to abandon because of the stringent conditions that will be imposed on us. So if, God forbid, the CIP falls, what do you think will happen to St. Lucia, will happen to Grenada, would happen to Dominica, would happen to St. Vincent, not St. Vincent, but St. Kitts and Nevis? I hope that Dr. Ralph Gonzalez is not listening to the broadcast because he's consistent and vehemently opposes the selling of his passports. And so you have heard me. In light of the tourism minister, an MP for Castries South, making reference to the previous administration had not constructed not one hotel while it was in office. I was saying that, come on, construction of a hotel, if it closes because of COVID, because of some calamity, because of some world event that could ground the airlines and close airports, what do we do? So I do not want people to believe I'm against the construction of hotels. I am not. But don't measure our success. We cannot measure our success. We cannot measure our development almost solely on the construction of hotels. If you construct a hotel, you're a successful administration. So, this has caused one individual to post a flyer on Facebook and making reference to being a dwarf. As if I care. I have been this way forever. I revel in this. It has not prevented me from being successful. I admire the fact that I am a unique individual. Given a choice, given an opportunity, I would say to the Almighty, please don't change anything about me. So people are preoccupied with, oh, a dwarf. It says something about your mindset. Because we're discussing issues. We are not there to try to mépriser people and belittle people. If that's what you're trying to do to me and anyone who's close to me, my friends would tell you, I don't care about those things. It has not impeded me in any way at all. What you people should wonder, should mull over, should lose sleep over is, number one, the state of this Saint economy, the high cost of living, the crime problem that we continue to experience in this country. And those of you who are into name calling, what could happen to you tomorrow, God forbid? And how will you deal and cope with it? Lose a limb. You can't deal with that. You will not be able to deal with that. Okay? You definitely will not be able to cope. But I don't want to belabor the point or spend too much time about it. It says something about your mindset. You have clearly lost the argument, and also you are panicking. But that will not cause me to cower. That will not intimidate me at all. It will only give me the fervor to continue to focus on the issues. Let us hear the Islands Tourism Minister speaking at a recent town hall meeting of the St. Lucia Labour Party.
And if I want to say to you, and I want you to reflect on it, that for 5 years under the United Workers' Party, not one hotel was built in St. Lucia. Not one room was built. Think about it. The last hotels to be built in St. Lucia were Royalton and Harbour Club, which both started under the St. Lucia Labour Party.
The Islands Tourism Minister, Dr. Ernest Tiller. Still to come on the broadcast, the Hyena Agenda. We open the lines right now. Take your calls at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Good afternoon to you, Kimani. What's in the chat room?
Good afternoon, Tim. In the chat room, we have someone saying, while we talk about food security, we are giving all our land to tourism. Are the hotels currently full to capacity? With the price of tickets these days, will people keep coming? Someone says, Tim, lots of rain and moderate wind in Saltibus. And someone says that is not true. And another comment, sending sunshine from Niagara, Canada. Another comment in the chat room, not because other places have crime doesn't mean we have to accept it on our island. We can't stop crime altogether, but the government must put things in place to curb the killings. Create jobs for the young people, work with the private sectors to keep the price down on goods and services. We need better. I believe that is all in the chat room.
Thank you so much, Kimani. We'll be returning to you in just a moment as we turn our attention to our first call. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hi, Tim. Hi. It's Minerva Ward calling.
Yes.
How are you, Tim?
I'm okay, Miss Ward. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. So Tim, tourism is my my area and economic development. So I'm happy to talk a little bit about your topic about hotels. So Tim, I think governments over time, especially for Caribbean countries or countries highly dependent on tourism, they see hotels as this economic driver that can employ a mass number of locals at various skill levels. So lower skilled, middle skilled, technically skilled, professional. Hotels can do all of that, which is why it saddened me to see how the Labour Party, when in opposition, demonized tourism and demonized hotels. And today they are singing the praises of the same tourism industry and the same hotels. So if you remember, during COVID, just prior to the election, In order to go after Alan Chasney and target him as a tourism man, they demonized our tourism industry and try to discredit our tourism industry. Today, they're bragging that they have hotels coming, and the last government wasn't able to build any hotels. Tim, what Alan Chasney was able to do, what happened under his time, was a vast increase in the number of locally owned, quote unquote, hotel rooms by people building their own villas, their own Airbnbs, an extension of their homes, which they put on the short-term rental market, which tourists were staying in. So this idea that Alan Chasney, which wasn't able to build any hotels, which is actually not true, but what Alan Chasney focused on was the development of our local tourism industry through village tourism by local ownership of, again, quote unquote, hotel rooms in the different communities that can have direct impact in the communities. So, Tim, our traditional hotel areas, our typical resort areas are obviously Rodney Bay, Soufriere, Marigot to a smaller extent. But when you have locally owned hotel rooms, and I say hotel rooms because the tourists stay there, there may be an apartment you build at the bottom of your house in Babuno and in Moshi and all the different parts of the island, these people are going into local restaurants to eat. They're going to local bars on the evenings. They're patronizing the local industries and local things happening around them. So there's direct economic impact, and there's not that repatriation of profits by foreign-owned hotels. So you have that direct spend in the economy. So that was what Alan Chasney was focusing on, ensuring that the benefits of tourism filtered down to the local man in the communities. Now, Tim, I want to talk about this overdependence on tourism as well, quote-unquote overdependence. Really and truly, tourism is where our competitive advantage lies. We can't run away from that. It is what tourism is able to, like no other industry, connect a mass of other industries through services, insurance, all kinds of things, and which is what Alan Chasney kept saying. Tourism has to be the driver to then bring other industries along: agriculture, fishing, all of services, financial services, all of these other industries directly connect to tourism, and tourism can bring all of these industries along. But I want to say as well that we really need to focus on our agricultural industry. And I remember him also saying we need to build greenhouses that are, listen, climate change is not going away. It's not going away. This year, I think we've seen clearly the extreme weather conditions all over the world, St. Lucia included, having record heat levels. In fact, the entire world having record heat levels. And I remember him speaking about building greenhouses that have the capacity to protect our crops so we can. St. Lucia cannot even right now produce food for our own selves. So we have a serious problem with food security, far less to export. There's a huge opportunity for St. Lucia if we can produce sufficient food, sufficient fisheries, our fisheries industry to supply other places in the world. We've done well with our CMOS. There's opportunity for our cocoa industry. There's a huge demand for cocoa on the world market. I think farmers need support. There are very limited places in the world where cocoa can grow. St. Lucia is one of them. But of course, when you invest in cocoa production, you're basically sitting on your crop for a long time. Tim, cannabis as well. I live in Canada where I was just saying a few days ago, this is so frustrating for me to see how Canada has capitalized on this. Tim, right close to me, I have huge cannabis greenhouses, huge. So the Canadian government, the first world, they have locked up or caused the cried cannabis so much so that ordinary users of cannabis have criminal records. Meanwhile, they've moved ahead to make this thing commercial, and now what?
I think Minerva, we were conned by those countries.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what I was saying, Tim. Because it really burnt me to see how they have moved ahead with the commercialization of cannabis while we have demonized it in the Caribbean. So another opportunity for us. So cocoa production, our fisheries, our agriculture, huge opportunities for us. But our farmers need support. We need to commercialize how we produce these items and not just produce it on a very small scale, but our farmers, our fishers, and etc. really need support. And we need to think about how we're doing that. We have the Taiwanese helping us with these things, and we need to go out in a not in the way we've been doing it. We have a bit of rain, all our crops are washed out. We cannot continue that way. There's an opportunity for us to feed ourselves and for export, huge on the world market. Tim, one last point before I go. The other thing, when I came to St. Lucia, I noticed a lot of people have small cottage businesses, little things they've made at home for sale all over in their trays, all over cashews. Fantastic. But these people need support in terms of packaging. So the same product put in a nice package can be exported, but we need support in terms of branding, in terms of packaging, in terms of marketing. So there are opportunities there, but it's just to identify them and have the political will to pursue them rather than just boasting about hotels and who built hotels and who didn't build hotels. But I will be talking some more about that as I go on in my bid to represent Grosley. I'll be talking about that and hopefully put out a manifesto with my ideas for economic development for Grosley and for St. Lucia, Tim. But thank you for indulging me and giving me the time.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling. Minerva
Thank
Ward,
you,
calling
Bye-bye.
from Canada. Let's see if you have another caller line. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You on the air.
Brother Poleon, good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, sir. I'm okay. How about you?
Not too bad. How was your weekend?
I'm okay. My weekend was all right.
Okay. Tim, I know you are so preoccupied now on the crime situation that is really affecting this country once again. But permit me to just, go to an issue which I don't know you probably have not too familiar with, especially these days. And it is in regard with what is happening at the CSA. We need to try and focus on that a bit because there is a lot of things that is happening at that particular institution, if you want to call it an institution, and we need to concern because there are a lot of persons that are members of the CSA, and they would like to know how the money is working out, when persons are going to travel. Is it a case that the travel, whatever they're going, is for the benefit of the members, or they just go in there because they are the president of the CSA and they are this and they could just do things, or even sometimes when they travel, it's almost like a demand that those persons that are trusted to sign checks, almost like forcing them, threatening them to sign checks for them to travel in the largesse. And then we need to concern. I remember before there was somebody who always calling you on the CSA. You knew that voice very well, of course.
Well, several people normally call me on various issues, including the CSA.
No.
But maybe that is an issue that the members of the Civil Service Association can address. Sometimes what people do, they would expect other people to fight their battles. So maybe somebody would have called you on this issue, but I think it's more prudent if those members of the Civil Service Association have an issue with how their finances are being managed or handled, take it to the executive of that association, that body.
I quite agree, because when you are a member of the CSA, you are paying your dues.
Yes.
And if you pay your dues, Tim, you're supposed to know how the movement is running.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot have persons just doing what they want at the CSA, and you have no idea what is happening. And even it go to that case when that custom officer was shot, unfortunately, and we didn't hear much from the CSA. We almost did not hear anything. I'm not too sure whether you heard anything from the CSA, but we didn't hear nothing of that.
Well, the CSA would have attended several meetings with the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, along with the leadership of the Customs Department. I can't recall any statements were made publicly, though.
But I would be very care that the president of the CSA call you, or somebody who had position in the CSA, that there are certain issues there, or things are not going there good at all, and there is an issue that need to be addressed. So moving on quickly, remember I called you once when I mentioned about this particular piece of road, the entrance by Ironor International Airport, close to the Catering.
Yeah.
So between there. I must say thanks to whoever it went to. That particular work was done very neatly, I must say. Paved very nice. This particular piece of metal, whatever it was that was underneath that grill, that was sink, that was completely removed, and that area was paved very nice. It surprised me. I drove on it. I did not even know, as usual, I'm a customer, check on it. But it's very nice. The only thing issues with me, before it had something like a bump, like a speed bump, they were about to slow down vehicles, but because you have the jet center adjacent to it, so maybe there might be a speed bump there or some pedestrian crossing, because you have persons who work at the catering, going to the catering, and persons who work at the jet center. So it is in the vicinity of those two areas So I probably believe, I don't want to be jumped quickly and blamed. I think there will be serious need for a speed bump in that area there. Tim, the other thing again is I heard you mention about in the crime situation. Tim, Sunday night, I was coming from Beaufort. And when I reached Opicon Gap, if you see the line of traffic with police, ambulance, and name it, and I thought it was an accident on that road. So we were waiting for traffic to be there. Little to find out is the same thing that you report in your news that happened. 2 persons were shot or whatever gone down in that area there. So traffic had to stay for a good while until the traffic had to divert, person had to divert all the way from Beaufort North Bellevue to end up, in fact, to the main road from Angers going to Castries. I think it is really unfortunate that this type of things have been, and right now it is island-wide. And remember there was a time you said, if the last time we had something in Beaufort and they had to call outside assistance, what about, God forbid, that we were to have that in every single community in St. Lucia? How would be the reaction of the police? How would the police handle it? I know they get assistance the last time from the RSS and they were all pouring to Beaufort. But if, God forbid, that thing were to be happening in every 17 constituency, how would the police stand to handle it? We seriously need to concern about the crime situation. I heard the PM asking for help everywhere, all hands on deck. All the last time I said, I wonder if it was a cricket match. He's playing, he's asking his bowlers or person, whoever, to give them a final effort. But let me say to the PM, the buck stopped with him as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. And I have often tell him, that job, please, before we have more person get killed and he cannot have an explanation and idea as to what to do, try somebody else in that position to see if that person will do something totally different from what he's doing. Every time you ask him a question, he said something, he go way back. He criticizes other people. And then I don't know whether he forget that he's the one responsible for that position. I don't know if he's forget. But Tim, that is having a serious impact, both local, regional, and international, on the good name of St. Lucia. Tim, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We have another call, this time via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Timothy. How are you today?
I am okay, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Good. So a couple of things. I mean, nice to hear Minerva is running. Nice to hear women in politics. I think that should be celebrated no matter their political
Well, it's not
stripe.
automatic.
So
Minerva wants to be the United Workers' Party candidate for Grosile. So, you know the process. Maybe they'll have a lot of...
But at least she has
Right.
the goal to put it out there. So
Yes.
she's put it out there, and I think that takes courage, and that's important. I think women in politics need to be celebrated no matter what, right?
Absolutely.
Outside of the majority of hotels in St. Lucia, as far as I'm aware, isn't Bay Gardens the only St. Lucian-owned business and operated hotel? Everything else is basically foreign-owned, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So for decades now, the only way, whether we've had UWP, SLP, or whatever, back and forth, only property, which probably is less, maybe 10% of room capacity or less, is what we've been able to achieve with both administrations. So believing in them to say that they're going to be able to shift the dynamic to make it more locally owned, I think is a pie in the sky. So I don't believe any politician coming to sell to me that they are going to be able to increase room rates and make it more local. That's one thing. I think outside of UWP or SLP creating more hotels, building more cruise spots and everything else, the fact of the matter is the current situation and capacity of our utilities, our roads, our capacity to handle the number of tourists, we can't even handle that number. And yet still we want to continue to build. And I think that's madness, craziness, by increasing the size of the ports, the water supply. Every day I talk to somebody in St. Lucia, we don't have water, we didn't get water with this. But hotels always have water. The hotels always have water, and I wonder, and I've sat at Point Seraphin and watched those mega ships come in, and often wonder how much of our water leaves our shores because Wasco might be selling it or Slasper might be selling it. I'm curious. And when we lived at Cap Estate, we never had water problems because with 3 or 4 hotels inside of there, the water always came up to Cap Estate. Sadly to say, wherever there's a hotel and there are residents in that area, they never have water issues. So I'm just putting that out there for St. Lucians in their mind. The other issue, and you kind of, Minerva touched on it around cannabis, and you did say we've been fooled by those countries. You know what's curious about it? I think in the Caribbean, we failed to jump on the cannabis issue as a coordinated region. We still are not able to recognize the value of this within our local populations. But in Canada, and let's say the US, where some states have legalized it, even if we passed it and we tried to export it, you can't export it to Canada. Because in Canada, the seeds and the growing of cannabis has to happen in Canada. So the only way you can get it in, and I think that's how Ralph may have gotten it in, is through medicinal purposes. Same in the US, same in Europe. So even if the Caribbean comes together now, because we didn't lobby in the past as a coordinated region, we've lost the opportunity. Our seeds are not going to be welcomed in those regions. And that's the lost opportunity that we can shift the mindset back home, that smoking is okay, and allow people to smoke locally and see if we can build tourism through that. That's not what we're doing, and it's a wasted time with SLP. They haven't done anything in the 2 to 3 years, as they said they would have changed, and that's unfortunate. I think Minerva is painting a picture that may not really exist around opportunities around CMOS, around cocoa, all of those things. The competitive advantage that she painted around tourism was done for offshore banking, the passport, CIP, agriculture was at one point our competitive advantage. The Caribbean is chasing dreams. We're not creating ideas and employment. And I agree with you that it should not be in our mindset that a hotel is what dictates whether success of a political party or not. But I don't know what success looks like in the region anymore because we don't have scholars. Agriculture is not our advantage. The offshore industry is crashing in that sense, and passports are gone. So what are we going to rely on is the question. I don't know, Tim.
But remember the period growing up when we'd compare our infrastructure with that of Dominica, St. Vincent, Antigua, and so on and say, because of that, we are developing. No, because of that, then we were saying that we are developing. Okay, we had huge buildings, we have the waterfront, etc., etc. Dominica have the small little buildings, taking care of housing, government departments, and things of that nature. But we never pay attention to our Human Development Index. And a lot of those countries are excelling, while St. Lucia has been under decline. Take, for example, St. Kitts and Nevis, excelling as far as the Human Development Index is concerned. So that against that background, I'm saying, construction of hotels. Is that development? Is that something to really boast about? When, for example, the investors are playing one island against another anyway, so that they could get the best deals and they get the concessions. And what do we get in return? Just a few jobs, a few menial jobs, according to one former minister, the late Louis George.
I think you're right. I think having been to St. Kitts over the last 10 years, although we're competing with them and we're all competing, as you said, with foreign investors, St. Kitts has a local industry or focus that allows culture, arts, to thrive. Because while you may go in there and you see CIP playing a role around development and hotels and condos or whatever, there's an underbelly growth in the local population. You see people grilling food on the road. I haven't seen this in St. Lucia in years. That has stopped. When a boat comes into St. Kitts in the main port, there's lobster, there's food, there's people grilling, there's a vibrancy that's been allowed. Whereas I think in St. Lucia, we've kind of lost the point of why people come. We're now chasing the tourism dream of building products for the people coming in and not celebrating who we are. So now we just chasing constantly. Do we put duty-free shops here? Do we have local, what is it Minerva called it? The
Airbnb?
Do we have the Airbnb rooms where tourists can stay, and then we have to get them warranted, and people have to go through this training process, and then they will cook it on their coal pots. We're selling products rather than celebrating culture. And I think that's where we've really lost the plot in St. Lucia, unfortunately. And on the Airbnb issue, as much as we wanted to support that, the current players in the hotel market are the large hotels, and they stifled single room and Airbnbs pre and post COVID. And I want to put it out there. When are we going to see an audit of COVID and the hotel industries of how they benefited during COVID? The CMO spent millions of dollars, St. Lucian taxpayers' dollars, and no audit has taken place. What was spent on hotel rooms? How much were they charging? Was it equivalent to a regular room rate? How much were they charging for food? Nothing was done. We just wrote a check to the hotels. Not one failed or went through bankruptcy. They all survived and thrived. I mean, the madness. I mean, this is crazy. There's no audit, and I think that has to take place to recognize what we can do better in the event there's another pandemic. Thank you, Timothy.
All right. Thank you so much for calling, sir, all the way out of Canada. Still to come on the broadcast, the hyena agenda. One individual says he definitely will be contesting the next German election as an independent candidate. And the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Mr. Philip J. Pierre, is seeking your intervention in the fight against crime. As you continue to watch the broadcast on our NewsSpin Facebook page, YouTube, and listen on Power 97.9 FM.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbute at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Introducing the new LuSelect Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From My Account to Streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, luselect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LuSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
So fast pay, a new and easy way to pay. So fast pay, so fast pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
So fast pay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. So fast pay, so fast pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Salu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Automotive art is a place to start.
Automotive art is now bigger and better with bargains galore. Automotive art has expanded. With new exciting products and increased shopping comfort, we welcome you to visit. Celebrate with us and take advantage of our specials. New tires starting at $129, 25% off all tools and accessories, up to 75% off rims, BOGO specials, car care bundles, and other bargains galore. Automotive art, bigger and better.
Art is a place to start.
While we continue to try to attract foreign direct investment and construct more hotels, we are yet to bring this level of crime under some kind of control, to manage it. We have failed miserably in that regard. And so the island, there was another shooting incident which occurred this morning just before 8 o'clock. One man sustained penetrating wounds to the body, and he was taken to hospital. This incident occurring in Foisson, Babonneau. And so far, we've had some 59 homicides for this year. So speaking at his pre-cabinet meeting on Monday, that's yesterday, the Prime Minister, National Security Minister, spoke on the island's worsening crime problem.
Again, I see very concerning, but I can't tell you what happened. The police, I met the police this morning, they are investigating. It's very concerning to me. It seems as if that we've found it is back in the drive-by shootings. Very concerning. What I can say is the police are investigating. They tell me that they think they have a sequence as to what happened, but again, I will not profess. I'm going to get criticized to be a policeman or be an investigator. My father was, not me.
Okay.
So I will not make any pronouncements on the investigation. What I can tell you is that 2 people got murdered again. Very concerning. My condolences to the relatives. The police, I was meeting the police high command this morning. They promised to leave no stone unturned in trying to solve what happened. They themselves are concerned. But according to them, they have an idea as to what happened. But I will not make any pronouncements because I'm not an investigator.
What I'm asking, do we still have the presence of the RSS in the...
The RSS have left because all the governments wanted their troops back because all islands have that problem.
The island's Prime Minister, National Security Minister, Philip J. Pierre. Very concerning to me. That's what the Prime Minister says when asked about the island's worsening crime problem. And again, I think Rick addressed that issue yesterday. It's not a pandemic. I mean, over in Antigua, so far for this year, about 4 homicides. Up to June of this year, St. Kitts and Nevis, 16 homicides. We are now almost 60 homicides for this year. It is not a pandemic, Mr. Prime Minister. Anguilla does not have this level of criminal activity. Dominica does not have it. Grenada, likewise. You have some countries perennially, they've struggled with the crime problem. Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, they remain at the top of the list as far as the number of homicides recorded so far for this year. So it is not true. We do not have a pandemic relating to crime, a crime pandemic in the Caribbean at this time. So as somebody says, etymological inexactitude. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you're on the air.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, Timothy, and your listeners all over the world. PW on the line, Timothy.
Good afternoon, caller.
Timothy, did you really gather anything from what the Prime Minister said in this particular clip, Timothy?
He's very concerned.
Really? that doesn't look like a man that is very concerned. You understand? For him to say that the police reported to him that they have the sequence of what transpired in this homicide, Timothy, that doesn't sound like a man with a plan, Timothy. You know, people in St. Lucia like to say, do not politicize crime. But you know, a lot of people are using this particular statement as a scapegoat for the ineffective crime fighting strategy, Timothy. There are many unsolved murders in this country, Timothy. And I can tell you, we need leadership in St. Lucia. We need leadership from this government. We need leadership at the police force, Timothy. Let us take into consideration CID department. There are so many unsolved murders. Are they capable of investigating all these unsolved murders? I want to ask the Prime Minister and the Acting Police Commissioner, Timothy, is there enough manpower at CID, the Criminal Investigation Department? Are they staffed to the full capacity to investigate these crimes and to bring a conclusion to all these drive-by murders? Do we have competent people at the head of the police force, Timothy? Do we have, what has happened to our forensic lab, Timothy? Timothy, are you hearing me, Timothy?
I'm listening to you, sir.
Is it in operation?
It is.
It is. Wow. If it is in operation, that is a good asset when it comes to crime fighting. If the Prime Minister is competent, from what I heard from him there, he sounds like a man without a plan and a man that is incompetent. He needs to step down. As you know, the murders have become more gruesome and the criminals have become more bold. The police need to talk about the victims and the people that have become victims of this crime spill in St. Lucia. You hear the police talking about, Timothy, a person of interest. Timothy, what does the police mean by a person of interest? What does the police mean by that, Timothy? There was a man gunned down in Cicero, was it? And the police talked about he was a person of interest, Timothy. What did the police mean about that? Is the police was investigating this individual, Timothy? Or was this individual under investigation? What about the lady down in the south of the island? She was threatened by a neighbor or somebody that knew her. And in the morning when she came back to her house, there was gunshots all over the place. You mean the neighbors didn't hear these gunshots being fired in the area? Nobody called the police? Was this lady in the rainforest? Nobody heard. Nobody called the police. But when she came in the morning, Timothy, you can see how St. Lucians, Timothy, are part and parcel of this. She came in the morning, gunshots all over her house, bullet holes, and nobody heard these gunshots to call the police or to alert the police. It's when she came, she saw it. Timothy, this government must have a plan. You understand? Philip J. Pierre need to have a plan, Timothy, to make this country a better place. And the police force need to restore the confidence of the people of St. Lucia, and it needs to be a force of integrity, trust, and commitment so that we can believe that law and order in St. Lucia will be paramount to the development of this country. Timothy, I thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Kimani, what is in the chat room?
Someone says, listening to the solution on crime by this government is chilling. Lord help us all. Another comment, the public must play their part in solving crime. Someone says, what our government needs to do is give us the opportunity to plan and grow the things that we import. Another comment, incubation of local enterprise is the future of economic development, not foreign investment. But we need to fix the crime solution, the political instability, water supply, and address the high cost of electricity. Someone says, Bay Gardens, Coco Resorts, Le Sport, Rendezvous, Fondue, Stonefield, Decay, Jade Mountain are all owned by St. Lucians residing in St. Lucia. Sandals, Coconut Bay Harbor Club are owned by Caribbean nationals.
And I have a friend who lives in Antigua, and he said that the number of homicides now is at 5 homicides. So earlier this year, or a few weeks ago, it was 4. Now it's at 5. So we don't have a crime pandemic in the Caribbean, as clearly the statistics would show. Any more comments in the chat room?
A few more. Someone says, so Pierre is collecting security levy from us and he does not seem to have a plan, asking people for help. Building hotels while the roads the tourists, the poorest of the poor don't matter, have to use to explore the island is like being on a scary ride. Someone says, by the market doesn't even have green bananas.
Well, that's because of the passage of Tropical Storm Brett just a few weeks ago. That's understandable, but it's also very scary. It should be very concerning with regard to food security. Went to the supermarket on Saturday at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, virtually empty as far as ground provisions are concerned.
Someone says, we don't need more hotels. Our existing hotels are suffering from low occupancy. But they're building hotels and not negotiating a fair wage for the workers. Unacceptable. Tim, there are so many more significant things to tackle in St. Lucia than building hotels.
Well, the Prime Minister, they say to the investors of the Secret brand, all I want you to do is to take care of the workers. Take care of the workers. We have a call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes. OK. Moi, je voulais adresser comme Madame Manuel à Tim. Avec toute manière, moi, je pour ça, la massime payant qui wall.
Oui.
Sanado, là, moi, je voulais représenter à des gens même qui pas bien comprendre l'anglais et qui ont fait le programme là tout.
Oui, merci.
Côté moi, je voulais aller là, Tim. C'est les gens qui ont commencé, qui ont couillé mon nom, en opinion, moi, sont danger, oui, bagaille. Tim, on change entièrement couillot. Et moi, on change mon cas par le Prime Minister, blague, il a ridicule, à la manière, il a parlé. Et moi, je dis comme ça, biblical, les bons dieux étaient couillé Moses pour te faire un travail. Choisi Moses. Et Moses pas de ça bien parler, mais il s'était right nom là pour te faire travail là. Vous comprenez ça, les deux là? On quitte le Coran. So, en mal parler, pas tenir rien pour faire avec ça, ni pour faire. Vous comprenez? Même manière, il a bien trouvé en l'air qui est haut, qui est court, qui est long, qui est belle, qui est laide. Vous comprenez? Chacun moun yon don, yon bagay yon sa fait. Avec on just remercier bon Dieu pour ça vous qu'a fait. Vous comprenez ça, les deux là? Tim, naïdou on bagay avec ça c'est pas moi expériencer. Il y a des gens qui pas jamais quoi yo kay arriver à dans dégoût côté peut-être yo kay infime peut-être un accident et laisser mon ça trouver quoi yo à dans dégoût côté yo perd dans jambe yo pas quand même vivre longtemps Tim moi quand tout ça c'est pas moi ha ouais pour moi yo pas qu'à vivre longtemps because yo ka prend peine ça là yo pas te jamais quoi c'est comme ça yo te caillé il y a longtemps à couille pour les mois de longtemps pas top longtemps et n'a do ba about comme même jodi à Tim et on pas pas comme ça. Ou on a couillé Tim, moi son nom qui est avec pour moi.
Ah, c'est même ça.
Avec Tim. Ou pareil, j'aime ça, because avec la just là, mais avec la pandémie dans moi.
Oui.
There's a level in me, like a spiritual level that is greater than all of this, Tim. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, avec la même, c'est yon Tim, Massamache Tim. Vous comprenez? Avec Nadissa, ma le personne fil la peine ba moi, vous comprenez? Because dans ces bagailles là moi couiller en le comme moi, mais Adam just venir beyond my control, you understand?
Yeah.
So nous pas jamais ça dans la vie. Ça c'est demande do Tim n'a souffert avec ça quand aussi COPD Tim. Une idée les mécaniques pour l'oxygène et pour l'autre machine moi son homme qui corra. Si moi son homme qui ni high blood pressure, de le pressure moi ka monter tellement haut parce que moi son petit grand homme de le still no high temper de le et que les monde dit moi bêtise de le m'a quand même changer moi ni pressure et qui ka malmené moi.
So fâché. So quand vous dit fâché parler pour.
Il pas avec moi, vous comprenez? Bon, moi il y a l'autre problème avec frustrate toujours. Vous comprenez? So dans fait mon truc toutes ces bagages ça c'est bagages qui deadly en les moi team. But moi pas qu'à point avec face un problème pour moi vous comprenez? Because moi toujours en jeunesse moi cadeau quoi manière moi fait c'est pas obligé quoi moi kay mort. Et que laisse situation venir comme c'était moi à press comme that n'importe bagage anything.
So moi hope ada c'est moun qui ka bay moun me pouya. Ou tout ça doit ou this yo ka koute.
Oui.
Puisque quand on dit moun pa ka faire koyo et depuis ou kan because si ou dit ba c'est hacks là pas aimé c'est quoi do on avec ça pas ka venir discussion ça c'est gens ignorant et gens qui couillon ka fait ba kon
bon on a tout ça encore team moi just dis ça pour faire la terre comprendre là dans monde qui a catché les différents bon attends monde peut servir against moi toujours moi pas mêlé vous comprenez c'est yon l'animal qui comprendre qui ça moi ka dire aussi vous comprenez là un silent après programme avec moi pas même dire qui monde moi je dis moi just low sab that non moi même c'est pas ce rigobot moi c'est tonton Gel rigobot
OK
chacun là si moi dis rien qui sorti à de manière douette yo ka do political c'est UWP vous comprenez c'est pour ça moi chebe toutes ces bagages ça là derrière but my hour has come where I have to say who I was in and the situation that I am in and who like it they like it and I'm telling you I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me because that is my cross you understand but I just have to say it today for people that think they are way up there and proudly I'm just telling you just be careful. Have a blessed and productive day.
Thank you so much for making that revelation on NewsSpin as we turn our attention to the hyena agenda because people are now into the name calling. This is unacceptable and let's hoping that this thing is not allowed to be perpetuated in this country because this is what I fear will happen. It will gain acceptance. So very soon if, for example, an Anthony Afrill decides he wants to contest elections in St. Lucia, people say, boy, that blind man, he can't see, he didn't see that. And somebody else does it and they have a deformity or maybe they're short. You focus on that particular issue as opposed to focusing on the person's mindset, maybe, or whether the person has a contribution to make, or even if the person does not get into politics. You disagree with the comments that were made by that individual. Do you describe the person as the bandy one and tall or short? This St. Lucia Labour Party, as far as name calling is concerned, is the worst that I've ever seen, I've ever experienced in St. Lucia, both at the top in terms of the hierarchy of that party and in terms of their supporters. I don't know what about them that they get so emotional, they get so out of control, they get into name calling. The fact that you are in office, preside over the affairs of the state, try to develop and exhibit this level of sophistication, the gravitas that comes with it, and please, and do not engage in the name calling. This, I'm predicting, will backfire. Let's listen to this.
The cost of living that they always make a big fuss about, the price of everything going up, and what the government is doing, all of them, short and tall, what the government is doing. How can we...
My friend, the Prime Minister, not careful, almost repeats the very words that got Mr. Speaker into trouble. That whether you are a giant or a dwarf, you're going to feel his bazooka. The Prime Minister, on the other hand, changes the word dwarf to short, and he changes the word giant. Nobody can say his vocabulary is not good. He changes the word dwarf to short and the word giant to tall. And did you hear the hyena laughter? Did you hear the stupid hyena laughter instead of embarrassment?
The cost of living that they always make a big fuss about, the price of everything going up, and what the government is doing, all of them, short and tall, what the government is doing. How can we...
My friend, the Prime Minister, not careful, almost repeats the very words that got Mr. Speaker into trouble. That whether you are a giant or a dwarf, you're going to feel his bazooka. The Prime Minister, on the other hand, changes the word dwarf to short, and he changes the word giant. Nobody can say his vocabulary is not good. He changes the word dwarf to short and the word giant to tall. And did you hear the hyena laughter? Did you hear the stupid hyena laughter instead of embarrassment?
The broadcast will continue in just a moment as you're watching on our NewsSpin Facebook page as well as YouTube and listen on Power 97.9 FM.
There is only one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus take charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
Lucilec aveti ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone Salah. Mi an ti commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Kouye Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui pouet ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout zouti ou ka servi pas vini moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Why pay full price for your mobile when you can pay half? Just bundle your home internet and mobile services with Flow and save 50% on your mobile bill. That's money in your pocket every month. Plus, now you get free YouTube and WhatsApp data. And you can share your plan with up to 3 other numbers. Upgrade now and get a free smartphone. Switch and keep your number. Learn more at discoverflow.co.
Get ready for the second annual Zouk a Blanc. Presented to you by Project Chocolat. Saturday, 30th September from 7 p.m. Featuring St. Lucia's #1 band, DYP. The always exciting Ezra, the Fun Machine, and our finest DJ, Hollywood HP, and DJ Shocking. Savor an evening of elegance, souk, and old school rhythms in the heart of Soufrière at Project Chocolat. Secure your tickets for just $80. Grab yours at any sell outlets island-wide or at Mambo's Bar in Soufrière. Tickets are also available online. Zouk a Blanc, a touch of white, where island vibes and cuisine meets pure sophistication.
Admission $100 at the door.
The new home of the best country music.
is Power 97.9 FM.
Say the stars are bound to fade.
Switch us on Join Me, DJ Jerry, this and every Thursday from 8 p.m. till midnight for Country Gold, the best in country music.
Your bags are packed and waiting.
The new, the oldies, and the goldies. So let's make it a date. This and every Thursday with me, DJ Jerry, from 8 p.m. till midnight for Country Gold. If it's Thursday, it's Country Gold Thursday. Country Gold, only on Power 97.9 FM.
I lead a rich, rewarding life.
Automotive art is a place to start. Automotive art is a place to start.
Yeah, look, check. We got a wide range of products that are automotive and do-it-yourself supplies if you got a moment. Smart staff that'll always know it. Got rims and tires from trucks to high performance to off-roading. Start hair tools, batteries, oil, and car care.
Automotive art is a place to start.
Of your calls at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Still to come. One individual has already decided to announce he will be contesting the island's next general election as an independent candidate. Stand by. We'll be making that revelation in just a moment as we are awaiting your contributions. Hello, good afternoon. Calling via WhatsApp. You are on the air. Hello.
Good afternoon, Tim. Today is your Canada Day.
Yeah, thanks for calling, sir. How are you?
Another call. Good. How you doing?
I'm okay. Yes.
Good. The gentleman who called from Canada, the last one who called, I always enjoy his contributions, but today I need to take slight issues with a couple of the things he said. He seemed to have, and I hope I don't get him wrong, he seemed to have poo-pooed Minerva's idea about the cocoa production and the viability of cocoa. And that's something she was right about, that you need to take a serious look at it. The reason is, I don't know if you saw the videos and stuff, even the president of Ghana went to Switzerland and asked them to invest in the manufacturing of cocoa back in Africa instead of doing it in Switzerland, because the growth potential in cocoa is really high. If you look at what the United States Department of Trade put forth right now, together with the EU, cocoa last year was 2022 was about a $48 billion industry, and the projection is in 10 years, which is 2032, it'll be about 79 to 80 billion. I mean, if you buy a house right now, in 10 years you wouldn't have had the equity, which is about amounting to about 65% increase in the value of the house. So cocoa actually is a more viable option than even investing in property right now. So that's to say that yes, there's viability, and there is the reason to look into making cocoa in St. Lucia a bit more productive. As people around the world become more affluent, as more Chinese become middle class, as more Indians become middle class, more Filipinos, they started demanding better goods and better foods, and they want to have the lifestyle of the rich and famous, and cocoa is a huge part of that. So the market is growing, and there's huge potential there. The second thing he spoke about was the tourism product, where she mentioned getting people to have houses and more local participation and stuff like that. I sent 3 sets of friends to St. Lucia this year, and none of them still had hotels, and all 3 of them came back. The last 2, Audrey and Ted, came back, and they were rolling about staying on somebody's property in a house they built whilst Shastny was in office, for tourists and stuff like that. And they said they had a local experience. They get out in the morning, they pick their own mangoes, and they were thrilled about it. So there is that part of tourism which is growing all around the world. Whether you I go to the Philippines, and I can't remember when last I stayed at a hotel. The last 6 times I've been there since 2013 or whatever. So there is that as well. And cannabis. Yes, the Caribbean has missed the boat in a big way on cannabis, but if there is still an opportunity, here's why. The Canadian government went ahead, and the Canadian society, and they invested in huge greenhouses, and I've visited a few, like Minerva said, right across from here, have huge greenhouse operations. But a lot of them, even on that peninsula, have gone bust. You have 70,000 right now. You have 70,000 square foot greenhouses, 140,000 square foot greenhouses laying idle, and then you have from Canada going down to the Caribbean. I met 2 of them who came back in March or April, what they try to do is to find people to grow the kind of cannabis they need in the Caribbean. The reasons are the strain of cannabis that is most profitable, that makes the best ointments and the best oils and the best candles and stuff like that, do not grow as well in greenhouses as they do under the Caribbean sun. You cannot compete with the strain and the quality of the cannabis that's grown in the volcanic, tropical Caribbean sun in the greenhouses in Canada. That's what the scientists told me. So they're trying to get agreements to grow cannabis in those islands. Here's what they encountered when they went down to a couple of the islands, was the people to make it happen wanted them to bribe them to be able to get to work on the legislation, to work on whatever and stuff like that. So we have the same problems of corruption happening there, which prevents people, because these businessmen know, if under the Canadian government rules, if they know that you go overseas and commit bribery and stuff like that and everything else, you can be jailed. They have a couple of people who just got into trouble 2 years ago for bribing people in Central America. So once you ask these people for bribery, they will turn their backs and go and disappear. One last point, Tim, and thank you for indulging me. I gave the Prime Minister up to 2 years. I try not to criticize the government too much up to 2 years. I've worked in government myself in different countries and different levels. And the first 2 years in office is really difficult. I probably might have said one or two things when I see things are going awry, but 2 years is about time. But after 2 years, I think it's open season. I cannot help but equate the Prime Minister to Donald Trump. Our Prime Minister makes excuses for everything. You would not know he's the Prime Minister if you just listen to him. He takes no accountability, no responsibility. He's always blaming somebody else, and he tells people he's going to unite the country, whatever. Every time I hear the man, he is either ridiculing somebody, giving somebody mepri, blaming somebody, causing some roro. I caught up on some of his speeches, and I have one line: he's the divider in chief. Every opportunity the Prime Minister gets, he has to throw some mepri, he has to create some roro. That's not how you lead. You're supposed to be uniting the country. You're supposed to be the glue that holds the whole thing together. You know, you are the one dividing the country. I knew he was going to be bad because I wrote about it before the election, but I didn't know he was going to be that bad. I never thought he would be that bad. You know, as a person, I think he's a nice guy. He'll be a good godfather to somebody. I think he's the decent manager. But to run a country, I mean, I don't think he has it. And I knew then he didn't have it, but I didn't realize how bad he is at that job. And the Prime Minister of St. Lucia really, really, really sucks at being a Prime Minister. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks so much for calling, sir. Let's see if we have another call via WhatsApp. Let's see if we can put this call on the air. Hello. Good afternoon to you. You've been trying for a while. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air. Oh, we lost the call. The call dropped. 456-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yeah, Tim. Tim, you remember the term plantation by the sea?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Derek Walcott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have anything that's different right now, whether it's locally owned or, you know? Because at the end of the day, the people who work in those jobs, the majority of those people, these are surf jobs. You understand where I'm coming from? Underpaid people who work in shifts, and they are taken advantage by a system, an economic system or a social system, whatever you want to call it. You understand? Who creates all of that thing? Isn't it government?
Yes, they do.
Government policies, whether it's the left or the right. So at the end of the day, the caller before your first break, he was making a lot of good points, and he always comes down on intelligent points. And I think some time ago, even you alluded to something in the form of a revolution, because we cannot move forward if we have these two political parties dividing us. And that's all I'm seeing. The caller before, I have to agree with you. Our Prime Minister is like a divider. Okay, and he says something else. It's almost like he speaks in two tongues. We are confused, Mr. Prime Minister. You know, you need to be more assertive and more clear and objective in the way you pronounce yourself. We don't know what your pronouncements are. And again, the excuses at a time like this, when we have crime taking place, when we have Haiti and they're asking for RSS and all kind of troops to help. Who's doing that? Isn't it the Americans? that lobby in CARICOM and our governments. You know, we have a lot of mismanagement, like the other caller was saying, especially during the time of COVID, because the government that was in charge at the time, they got a lot of money for COVID relief, and they spent it on roads. Now, I will agree roads cost us a lot of money. I own a vehicle, changing suspension parts is like a normal thing now, which it wasn't before, especially on a pickup. However, at the end of the day, if that was given to relieve the people, why not give it to them and let them spend that money back into the economy and grow your economy like that? Okay? Look at the taxes we have now. Inflation is through the roof, but yet still we have a government that says it's for the people, but yet still it comes and imposes a 2.5% levy or whatever they're calling it, but it's actually 5%. You understand? The way they compound it. So who you fooling, Mr. Prime Minister, or whichever government that is there? At the end of the day, we need something more comprehensive, more something for the people. I remember listening to a speech of Mr. Odlum. I think it was late 70s, early 80s, where he was talking about this, village tourism. All the way back then. Imagine if we had invested in village tourism all the way back then. Think about how our lives, Mr. Poleon, would have been. It would be different, huh? We'd have a higher level and a higher standard for everybody, because everybody could have taken advantage of something like that. But now what do we have? We have government just selling us out, whether, like I said, whether it's left or right, whether you put a new candidate or not. The system, unless you dramatically change it, and like you said, you alluded to it, it might take a revolution. And I'm not talking about violence or anything like that. But the young people, we need to wake up, because at the end of the day, what our government is selling us into, you understand where I'm coming from? The type of treaties and deals that they sign in that we don't know the details, and the devil is always in the details. We have a new pandemic coming up, and let me just mention this lastly. We have a new pandemic coming up. Do we want to see lockdowns come back into this country? Are we going to comply with mask mandates when there's so much evidence out there showing to the contrary that these protocols don't work? Anyway, a blessed afternoon to you, Mr. Poleon.
You too, sir. Thank you so much. Talking about government, talking about being dissatisfied with this party or that party, one individual says he will be different. He wants to contest the next general election as an independent candidate. Was watching on Facebook, as I normally do from time to time, earlier today. That is Calvin Appa Edward. He wants to contest either the VA4 South or Miku North seat. Listen.
Tout politicien qui a fait les ouais, mais les pas parti à avoir fort. Donc croisez nous man. Well, let's just know. Apagon independent against his team. Yeah. I independent. Miku North. I campaigning for Miku North. I campaigning for VA4 South. My management team and the people of Miku North and the people of VA4 South will make the decision. You understand? And where my support is strongest, I will represent. But I tell you all, I've made up my mind. I'm in the race as an independent candidate. I paid my $500 to register. Yeah, to run the election. My symbol will be the ganja leaf. It will be on the ballot. Yeah, equal rights and justice for one and all. C'est c'est ça nous. Yeah, all right. C'est ça nous. All right. That is my film. Equal rights and justice for one and all. C'est ça nous. Vous comprenez? Moi pas qu'à venir payer ça aux politiciens pour voter pour moi because moi pas ni l'argent. Moi qu'à represent the upright. I promise a lot from you make me your candidate, your representative in the St. Lucia government. I will represent your open-heartedly Rasta. I will not sell my allegiance to Labour Party. I will not sell my allegiance to Flabo if they are in power. I will stay on the outside and make sure anything that is due to my constituency is given to them, Rasta. I will not come in the house representing Miku North or representing VA4 South and be like a mouse in the house, Rasta. You understand? I'll be outspoken and I'll be real in everything. You understand? Proper representative. Not like them fools out there, you understand? Who come to our doorsteps and beg us to vote for them, and when they come in power, they around with us. That is not the representation I give in all my people. Straight, firm, solid, you understand? Respectful, representative man, representation man. That is what man. Tout politicien qui a fait les ouais, mais les pas partis à avoir pour. Donc croisez nous man. Well, let's just know. Apagon independent against his team. Yeah. I independent. Mikudnov. I campaigning for Mikudnov. I campaigning for Vivo South. My management team and the people of Mikudnov and the people of Vivo South will make the decision. You understand? And where my support is strongest, I will represent. But I tell you all, I've made up my mind. I in the race as an independent candidate. I paid my $500 to register. Yeah, to run the election. My symbol will be the ganja leaf. It will be on the ballot. Yeah, equal rights and justice for one and all. Séclicien, Séclici, c'est ça nous. Yeah, all right. Séclici, c'est ça nous. All right. That is my film. Equal rights and justice for one and all. Séclici, c'est ça nous. Vous comprenez? Moi pas qu'à venir payer aux politiciens pour voter pour moi, because moi pas ni l'argent. Moi qu'à represent the upright. I promise a lot from you, make me your candidate, your representative in the St. Lucia government. I will represent your open-heartedly Rasta. I will not sell my allegiance to Labour Party. I will not sell my allegiance to Flabo if they are in power. I will stay on the outside and make sure anything that is due to my constituency is given to them, Rasta. I will not come in the house representing Mikudnov or representing Viewford South and be like a mouse in the house, Rasta. You understand? I'll be outspoken and I'll be real in everything. You understand? Proper representative. Not like them fools out there. You understand? Who come to our doorsteps and beg us to vote for them, and when they come in power, they around with us. That is not the representation I give in all my people. Straight, firm, solid. You understand? Respectful, representative man, representation man. That is what man.
So imagine Kimani Appa is addressing a sitting of the House of Assembly as independent MP, let's say for Miku North or Vieux South. And he commences with his usual, "All equal rights and justice for all." Now, how do you think any speaker will handle Appa? That'll be difficult, you know.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely difficult because Appa, I don't think will be playing by the rules.
I can't imagine he will.
Understanding orders, you must sit, you must withdraw the statement.
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so.
What's happening in the chat room?
Someone says, let's see, no one is starving in St. Lucia. Interesting comment. Another comment, the day the Caribbean starts producing legal cannabis, the rest of the world will not be able to compete, Canada included. Regrettably, the island has sunk to a new low. Some are hiding behind social media and live streaming to insult others, SMH. We have an individual and collective responsibility to raise the standard. Tim, those who are laughing, they are getting a salary, so they can afford to ridicule the poor people who are struggling. Someone says, I want HTS to do an e-poll for ideas on what to do with this Prime Minister. Another comment, it's not professional to joke people about their physical appearance. Most of us, if not all, have something about ourselves we would have changed if we had the power. Another comment, I guess the public should start a STEP program against crime. Someone says, nonsense. We are experiencing one of the best economies in the Caribbean and are looking at a 4 to 7% growth for 2023 and still have 3 more years to continue making progress. Someone says to one of the previous callers, Caller, I am proud of you. With all your issues, you still air your views while most St. Lucians are suffering in silence. Let's see what other comments we have in the chat room. Appa, it's best you start campaigning for Flabo because SLP has hurt you and no independence candidate will win and be on their own.
It might be an exception this time around.
Another comment, someone says...
Because don't forget, Richard Frederick contested in 2006, March of 2006 as an independent. He won. This time around, he also contested as independent Labour, and he won. Also, Stevenson King contested Castries North, and he won as well as an independent.
Someone says, on a point of order, Mr. Speaker, it's allegiance. In the chat room, someone says you will have to wear a shirt in Parliament. That's it.
All right. Let's see if we have another call. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Tim, what makes you think it's anything different now in the House if APA come? It's the same thing that's going on there. You're saying people don't have respect for the speaker, people will do what they want.
No, I'm just saying where APA is concerned, he will not be playing by the rules.
But it's the same thing that those that in the implement by the rules neither. That will be nothing new. It will be business as usual. APA will fit right in.
No, I don't think so.
Look what that's going on there.
You think APA will join, will be part of the status quo?
The status quo is disrespect for the House and everything and the rules. That's the status quo. So APA will fit right in. He will continue to be in what he is. You take it, the language might just be a little more coarse, but the whole mentality and everything will be the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But in this particular case, let's be serious. Just imagine if he maintains his position and he focuses on the issues affecting the people as opposed to what affects him as an individual. Because we have some narcissistic people among us. Okay, they like to focus on things that impact them. But you're in the parliament to represent the people.
How do you think APA come? He will start checking for the people, and then when he realizes what it really is about, he go get a little something on the side, and then he go just start towing the line as everybody else, because that's how the politics runs.
Let's see what APA has to say on that later today or tomorrow over the weekend.
All right.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We'll take one other call. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Very quickly, Tim.
Rick Wayne, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. Very, very entertained today.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, that gentleman who called earlier, as lucid as ever, a strong voice. You could almost feel optimism pouring out of the guy. And he's got prostate problems. He's blind.
COPD.
Mobile.
COPD.
What else?
COPD. Suffering of COPD.
What's that? COPD?
That's when you're breathless.
Oh.
Yeah, because of, I think sometimes smoking does it to you. It affects your respiratory tract and so on.
My goodness. Tim, anybody who's feeling sorry for himself because he has a headache or maybe he lost a hand or something, what an inspiration. And to hear that guy's voice. And when people like that call up, I really wish we would have some way of using them to put enthusiasm in other people, because people, especially in times like this, people feel so down with their surroundings. My goodness, if I had two of those things, I think I'd be dead already in my mind. The man sounds like he's ready to take on bulls.
Yeah.
So healthy, lucid, and clear-voiced. I thank him for that call. But the other one I want to say, I'll ask you very quickly, Tim.
Yeah.
The gentleman who just declared his candidacy as independent for Miku North.
Either Miku North or Viewford South. APA.
Isn't he one of the gentlemen who took responsibility for delivering 13 candidates via the OBR route
to Philip Gibier? To Philip Gibier? Yes, allegedly, yes.
Well, if those guys are serious and did that, as they say in the colloquial, politics as we know it in St. Lucia finish. We finish. There's no point. I mean, I don't know why he's even going to do a checkout to see how popular he is in Miku and Beaufort with that kind of over power. I mean, the guy could change the country tomorrow. He could even have an election called tomorrow, no?
Based on what he's been saying.
Based on what he's been saying, has there been any denial or any clarification of that stuff? Because
No response from the Solution Labour Party, none from Mr. Philip JP as well.
I saw what looked like a coffin in a clip. Have you seen that?
Yes, I saw it.
Is that all show business?
I think that's what he's making reference to.
So they actually did that?
Yes.
Well, boy, get ready if you can close down everything and Obia politics is next. Thank you very much, Tim. Very funny show today.
Thank you so much. Our NewsSpin news of the day. Finally, our NewsSpin news of the day. Saudi Arabia reportedly sentences man to death for criticizing government on social media. Saudi Arabia reportedly sentences man to death for criticizing government on social media. That's a broadcast. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube as well as our NewsSpin Facebook page. And thank you as well for listening on Power 97.9 FM. Coming up next, The Power Drive. Goodbye.